Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Literally What. I hope everyone had the best weekend ever. I do say that every single episode, but I just hope that means your weekends continue to get better than the last one. Real quick, if you are watching this on my YouTube channel, please give this a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. If you're not watching on YouTube, I do post every single week, so you can see my cute face and cute pink background. If you prefer just to listen, make sure to give a 5-star review, whether that's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen, and also follow the Instagram. All of this stuff really helps me out, so I would be so appreciative. But yeah, I'm just excited to be back with another episode for you guys. I wanted to give a huge shout out just to all of you guys who do come tune in on a weekly basis. It means the absolute world to me. So without any further ado, let's get into some hot gossip, hot takes, stories, and advice that will have you saying literally what. Okay, first of all, before we get into stories, I have to know if you guys have heard of this 999 challenge. I don't know where it came from. I don't know who started it, but someone needs to delete this challenge out of everyone's memory, because my husband and a few of my friends want to do this challenge. If you don't know what it is, you basically go to a baseball game, and I'm sure we're all familiar. There are 9 innings at a baseball game. Can you see where this is going? You probably do. So basically, in the 9 innings, you are supposed to eat 9 hot dogs and drink 9 beers. Guys, I don't think I could even do this in just like 3 or 4, like a 3-4 challenge. Like, maybe people can do this. I wouldn't recommend it. Please, if you've done this, let me know if this is even a possible task. I feel like hypothetically the 9 beers would be easier to complete than the 9 hot dogs. That's really what's stopping me from believing people are doing this challenge. But also, if you think about the beers that are served at baseball games, or just the drinks in general, they do tend to be much larger than if you just get a regular beer can or a regular seltzer can. So maybe if you do this, do 4 of the beers, because technically I feel like the length or size, what am I even saying? You get what I'm trying to say. But I don't know why this is a thing. My husband and I love going to baseball games. It's one of our favorite things to do. And back up when we lived in Georgia, the Braves, obviously. So all my friends are always at baseball games and have been sending me these videos of the 999 challenge. And I think it's insane. But if any of you do complete it or do a rendition of this challenge, please let me know. And let me know how your experience was. I feel like I could do... I don't know. I really don't think I could do any part of that. I would also be having to get up to pee every 5 seconds. So this challenge isn't for me. Maybe it is for you, but I don't know. That just sounds crazy to me. Anyways, and then the other thing I had to talk about, because I saw this quote, and I feel like a lot of my listeners are somewhat around my age. And if you're not, you've definitely experienced this before. But I deal a lot with seeing things from my past that leads to nostalgia. And specifically, I was decluttering my house one day, and this old Strawberry Shortcake TV show that I used to grow up watching popped up. And anytime I see a show or a photo from a long time ago, a smell, it takes me back to like childhood, and I get this like sense of nostalgia. And I don't know, nostalgia to me is one of the weirdest feelings. I don't love that feeling, but I also do kind of like it. It's weird, and I never really could pinpoint. I don't know, it's just a weird feeling, and I'm sure we've all had it. But I saw a quote on my TikTok that popped up, and it basically was saying, like, if you feel nostalgia a lot, it's just proof that you lived and are continuing to live a life that is worth living. You have those moments that you look back to that make you miss it, because at the end of the day, the nostalgia for me specifically I get is that I miss those days. I miss those people. I miss doing those things. I miss being a kid and being so innocent and thinking the world is so amazing. And like, the world is amazing, but there's a lot of just sucky things that when you grow up, you realize about life and people. And so it's hard, because I do miss my childhood, and I do miss so many things about it. And, just being a kid and that innocence, and just life felt brighter and more colorful. And so instead of just like feeling sad about it and mourning that, I am trying to learn to sit in that feeling of, I had such an amazing childhood. I had such amazing memories. I still have great friends, great memories that I am still making to this day, that I hope I look back in 10, 15, 20 years and have nostalgia about the moment I'm in right now. And me and my husband were at a Mexican restaurant. This was just like, this whole week was just a very emotional week of like rediscovering life. And I don't know how to explain it, but we were sitting at our Mexican restaurant and there was this old man. I think he said he was turning 90 this summer. And he walked up to us and he was like, I just wanted to say like hi to you guys and let you know to not like let your life waste by and not let age catch up to you. I just felt like I was 50 yesterday and here I am. And when he left, my husband and I looked at each other and we were like, that is so true. I feel like I always am, you know, excited for that next step. Growing up, I was always excited to be a teenager. I was always excited to be in my 20s. I was always excited for that next step. And now that I'm here, I'm like, you dumb little bitch. Like, you want to be that young again. Why were you wishing to be this old now? So this whole week has really made me realize I need to embrace the moment I'm in right now. I need to stop focusing on the past, stop focusing on the future, really lock into my present and just really live life, because I'm at that age where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm a little too old. It's a little scary. I'm about to hit my quarter life crisis. Except I'm just never going to tell anyone my age anymore. I'm forever stuck at 23. And if you're listening to this podcast, you will forever know me as a 23-year-old. I will be frozen in time as a 23-year-old. Anyway, that was my whole long rant. All that to say, if you have been feeling sad about growing up, if you do feel those waves of nostalgia, just know that you are living a life that is worth having those feelings for, and you have a life worth looking back at and being grateful. And now you know just to make more of those memories and moments now that you can look back in the next 5, 10, 20, however long years. Now I'm done being sappy. We're going to get into our amazing stories. And we also have our Literally What segment at the end where you guys can write in to me if you need advice, if you have a crazy story. We have a couple entries. I am running low, so I will make sure to repost the link to my Instagram, but it is also in my show notes. It's in my Instagram bio. You can also email me, DM me. You can pretty much find me anywhere, honestly. So let's get into our stories of the week. Our first story, crazy bombshell news that happened this past weekend. Gary and THERESA from the Golden Bachelor are getting divorced after 3 months. 3 months, you guys. I can't. This is so embarrassing. I have no words, but they did. So 3 months after they tied the knot in a live televised ceremony. I wonder if that had anything to do with money, and did they sign a contract and wanted it for the money and then divorced 3 months later? I don't know. We will never know. But the couple whose story captured the hearts of America on The Golden Bachelor are getting a divorce. They confirmed April 12th on Good Morning America. The news comes amid reports that THERESA and Gary, despite their January nuptials, had been living apart. So Gary said that THERESA and I have had a number of heart-to-heart conversations. We've looked closely at our situation, our living situation, and we've come to the conclusion that it's probably time for us to dissolve our marriage. What a way to spin those words, dissolve the marriage. THERESA added, we have received so much love and support from so many people who watched The Golden Bachelor. I don't think we can tell you how many people told us that it gave them so much hope. Clearly not anymore if you're getting divorced 3 months later. We want nothing to change for anybody. I literally cannot with this story. They are stupid. I hope I never really see anything about them again, because what a waste of everyone's time. And I think why I'm so frustrated is I recapped the show for you guys on this podcast. I was very much invested. I was like, this is such a great way for Bachelor Nation to really come back to what it used to be. We had this amazing Golden Bachelor show. We had Joey the Bachelor, and I'm so mad at Bachelor Nation right now. Number one, just on the whole Bachelorette thing, they really dropped the ball with that. And I know there's so many factors that go in, but at the end of the day, if they wanted a Bachelorette, they would have paid and done whatever they needed to make it happen. Whatever. The Golden Bachelor, it's like, it looks bad. It looks bad on Bachelor Nation. And now that they are promoting the Golden Bachelorette, like, I don't even want to watch it anymore because it is so stupid. And I think it's embarrassing for everyone. It's just embarrassing. So it's hard because I feel like there are so many couples recently. I feel like every time I come on this podcast, there's another couple divorcing. And a lot of times when it's announced, they might have separated or divorced a long time ago, and then they find the right time to make a joint statement. And I wonder why they chose now to announce it, and why couldn't they have just, held on a little bit longer to announce it so that it isn't like a 3-month total fail. Like, they could have waited maybe a year, just like kept quiet and maybe, just fake it. Like, I don't know. But it does all come down to their living situation. So Susan, who was on The Golden Bachelor as well, basically said that neither one of them could leave their families. Originally, what they had been doing is they were traveling back and forth between where they both lived. So they split time between Indiana and New Jersey. Okay, you would have talked about this beforehand. Like, they both knew they lived in separate states, so maybe they both just thought the other would budge and move to their state. But clearly, they both didn't want to leave where they were. So why that wasn't talked about and tried to figure it out beforehand, I don't know. So yeah, like the issue, they clearly still, I think they still love each other. I'm pretty sure that Theresa still wears the wedding ring, but they both didn't want to leave where they were. So I just don't understand why they wouldn't have talked about that before. And they said they were trying to look at houses, but it just wasn't working out. I don't know. That's like a big thing you talk about, I feel like, where we're going to live at the end of this, especially if you live in 2 different states. What I think they need to do, not for all Bachelor shows, but just specifically for these older shows with the Golden Bachelor, Bachelorette, is I feel like they should make it where everyone who's a contestant lives in a somewhat around nearby area as the main lead of the show. Because obviously, I think deep down they would have worked out if they lived in the same area. Obviously, a lot of people thought this wasn't going to work out, and not a lot of Bachelor couples do. I really did think this would work out, at least for a few years. 3 months to me is wild. And I'm just, I don't know. It doesn't make me not believe in love anymore. I think Bachelor Nation shows in general aren't like, the whole blueprint poster for true love, but it is a little frustrating that the first show they put on and first couple who comes out of it gets divorced 3 months after. And shame on them. They should have faked it for a little bit longer. And I want to say I wish them well, but I really don't want to see them ever again. They totally wasted a couple who could have actually made it work. And I bet Leslie is so glad that she wasn't picked, and I bet she's laughing really hard right now. That's what I have to say about that. All right, our next story. The 2024 CMT Music Awards were a couple weeks ago. Kelsea Ballerini hosted, and it was in Austin, Texas at Moody Center. So I'll just go over a few of the winners. And for those who don't know, country music to me, I don't listen to a lot of country music. I do live in the South, was born in the South, so I know that is crazy to a lot of people. But I will say a lot of the songs or music videos that were nominated, I have seen before. So that wasn't disappointing. I feel like most times when it's country music awards, I'm like, what is this song? Who is this artist? But I have heard a lot of these. So I'm sad I didn't get to watch it. But at this point, there's like way too many award shows. I feel like I recapped the big ones and watched those. So I'm good on award shows until next year. But collaborative video of the year was Carly Pearce featuring Chris Stapleton, We Don't Fight Anymore. The duo group video of the year was Dan and Shay, Save Me the Trouble. Male video of the year was Jelly Roll. And female video of the year, Lainey Wilson. Jelly Roll, I feel like, is really living his best life right now. I'm really happy for him. I didn't really know who he was, and I think he performed at the New Year's Eve Ryan Seacrest party. And I was like, who is that? And now I feel like I hear his name everywhere, so I'm really happy for him. And I also saw that Chase Stokes was there with Kelsea Ballerini supporting her. I really do love them a lot. There's not many celebrity couples that I'm obsessed with ever, and they really are a couple that I really, really love, and I'm really rooting for them. And if they broke up, maybe I wouldn't believe in love as much. Not really, but I really do love them. They looked really, really cute, and yeah, happy for them. She did a really good hosting from the clips that I saw. And now a little more country singer news to a man that I really just don't like, and that is Morgan Wallen. He was arrested last week for throwing a chair off of a bar roof. You idiot. Here's what I'll say. I feel like Morgan Wallen, he acts like he's not famous, but he is famous, and he's so reckless. I really only hear bad things about him. He needs to get his act together. He really does. I feel like he either needs to take a look at his relationship with alcohol or take a look at, why he's doing all of these things. But country music star Morgan Wallen was charged with 3 felony counts in connection to an incident at Eric Church's new honky tonk bar in Nashville. 2 police officers had been standing in front of Chiefs on Broadway Sunday night when a chair flew off the roof and hit the ground in front of them. What are the odds that the chair that you chuck off, first of all, doesn't, thank God, hit and kill or seriously injure someone, but second of all, lands next to 2 cops? Like, maybe this is your wake-up call to change some things about your life. Staff members identified Morgan Wallen as the person responsible, claimed that he laughed afterward. He was arrested for 3 counts of reckless endangerment. He was also charged with a misdemeanor. His bond was set at $15,000. And then after smiling for his mugshot, he was released from Davidson County Jail around 3:30. Again, I feel like he finds himself in these situations, like these really awful situations. A lot of it obviously is alcohol induced. The fact that, again, he threw it off the roof and didn't seriously injure anyone is a miracle. And I just don't like him. And more stories come out of him just being dumb. And it's like, you need to get your act together. Like, seriously. I don't know. That's all I have to say. And I think he goes to court in May. So we'll see if, how soon another stupid thing he'll do is on the news. Alrighty, next story. Margot Robbie is to produce live action Monopoly movie. So after taking on the fantastic world of Barbie Land, Margot Robbie is heading to the rich terrain of Monopoly. Her company, Lucky Chap, and her partners are producing a live action feature film based on the real estate inspired board game Monopoly. I will say, growing up, do y'all remember Princess Monopoly? Did you ever have that board game? I don't think it exists anymore because I looked online. I think you can only buy the vintage old ones on eBay. And I wish I saved them because that was my favorite game when I was a kid. And now my husband wants to play the real Monopoly. And I'm like, this is so boring. Like, I need Princess Monopoly or like I'm not going to play and understand it. Hasbro Entertainment, the backers of Monopoly, are also going to help produce this movie. Monopoly is the world's most popular board game, and it has 99% global awareness. So at first I was kind of like, why are they choosing Monopoly? But seeing that it's the most popular game and it has 99% global awareness, I feel like, especially Margot Robbie, I think she's very smart, and I think that putting money into this specific movie, I think they know that hopefully it will have good success. But when are we going to have like a Life movie or like a Candyland movie? I want a Candyland movie so bad. That would be so cool. Maybe they already have one like that, but I don't know. What else is it saying? Just a lot of more money and legal stuff for the movie and producing it. This was interesting to me when I saw it, just because we just talked about her producing the Sims movie and all of these new gaming movies. I don't know what they're thinking in their heads concept wise. Is it going to be, I think this one's live action. Yeah, live action. Is it going to be like a psychological, like making the world think, kind of how Barbie, and not that Barbie was super, but it had some politicalness to it, I feel like. And, with Monopoly, is it going to be about money and taxes? And I don't know, like, you know what I mean? And The Sims, how are they going to do that? And is this the start of making movies about different games and stuff? I don't know. I don't know where this is headed. I don't know how I'll feel until I see the trailers, honestly. And I feel like this will either be a massive, massive hit just based on how popular Monopoly is, or it's going to be like, what the hell is this? This is so stupid. But it'll be interesting to see what they do with the plot, because if you think about it, it's just a board game that we play There's not a cliffhanger. There's not a, remember when you were like in English class and when you're writing a story, there's like the beginning and then there's the climax and then there's like resolution. So I don't know what they're going to do. It'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. I feel like doing a cartoon would have been easier, like an animated film for this, but I guess they're taking it live action and I'm kind of scared. But I have no expectations going into this. Alrighty, our next story. Bachelor Nation stars reunite at Tyler Cameron's Going Home premiere. I did not know he was coming out with this new TV show, and I honestly am probably going to watch it. Growing up, I watched all those home shows, and I think this will be a really good show. But earlier this week, he celebrated his new show, Going Home with Tyler Cameron, with his premiere event in LA, and his show premieres April 18th on Prime Video. So when he did his big premiere party, this was when a lot of Bachelor Nation girls from the previous season of The Bachelor showed up and got a picture with him. Daisy was obviously there. Rachel, Leia, and Jess. Like, that does bother me. I know that things aren't always what they seem on camera, but I just really can't stand them. And the fact that Daisy's friends with them, I don't know them though, so I'm not gonna sit here and judge, but and then Tyler and Daisy got a picture together. Everyone was freaking out over it. I do think he does have a girlfriend though. Also, I think she's too good for him. He is good looking, but like, she is Daisy and deserves everything and more. And then when they gave a little preview of this TV show, Hannah Brown was sitting down with Tyler Cameron and is part of the show. So that obviously had a lot of people like, oh, what's going on? So while the two were exes, they recently reunited for his new show. And basically the show follows Tyler, his dream of starting his like construction home renovation company in Jupiter, Florida, where he is born. I think the first episode or the first project he does is working on his mother's house. But that's basically the premise of the show. And so he also, his late mother's home. That's right. Okay. And then he leans on his tight-knit community for support, including Bachelor Nation stars like Matt James, Rachel Kirkconnell, Jason Tartick, and then, of course, Hannah Brown. They did an interview with Tyler, and they asked if, is it awkward reuniting with Hannah for projects like this, given their romantic history? And he said, we definitely have to work it out. It can be a little tense at first, but it works itself out. Someone has to crack the joke and break the ice. Usually that's me. And she's like, dang it, Tyler. And then we get rolling. And he also opened up about his late mom and how much she loved his ex Hannah. He said, my mom loved Hannah when there were times that me and Hannah weren't cool or weren't talking. Hannah and my mom were talking. She always was Hannah's biggest fan. She would have loved for Hannah to be a part of this. And she was. So I think my mom would be proud of us putting our differences aside to do something great together. And then he also said that Matt spent so much time at his mom's house and thought it would be special for him to be a part of this too and have Rachel there. So I think this is going to be a really sweet show, and I think it'll be really exciting. He said that I was in a little bit of a predicament. I needed a designer, and I knew that our clients loves The Bachelorette, and she loved Hannah, so I thought if I got Hannah, that's someone she loves, and then Hannah over-delivered. She was incredible. She crushed it, and he said if he were to do a season 2 of this show, he hopes to have more Bachelor Nation people. He was like, I would love to work with Hannah again. Also would love to work with Dylan and Hannah Godwin. Maybe they could get a little summer vacation, blah, blah, blah. So this looks really exciting. I still will never, ever, 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 ever be over Hannah not choosing Tyler. There's not many people you watch and you're like, that is an instant connection. They belong together, and everyone knows they belonged together. And I just won't ever get over this. I really won't. And even just seeing them together, it just hurts me every time I see them together. And even seeing who Hannah's with now, I'm sorry, it looks just like him. It looks just like Tyler. And in another world, maybe they would have been together, but that's not how it all panned out. And I just need to accept that. But I don't want to accept that. So anyway, I will be watching this show, though. I think it'll be a really good show. I love Tyler. There's certain people on Bachelor Nation that they're just fun and easy to watch. Like if Daisy did her own show, that would be amazing. If Hannah did her own show, that would be amazing. There's just some people whose personalities are meant for more than that show. And our last story is Coachella 2024. I will tell you guys, for years, I don't know why, but I have watched probably every YouTube influencer's Coachella vlog since 2015. I have an obsession with Coachella. I don't know why, because I honestly probably would never go, and I'll get into that a little bit later, but I feel like I could go to Coachella as a pro and know everything there is to know about it. I don't know. And I've never even really been to a festival like that. So anyway, Coachella 2024, the biggest events so far. My favorite thing I've seen on TikTok is Lana Del Rey's entrance. It was a whole entourage. She was riding on the front motorcycle and looked stunning. I mean, just gorgeous. And so that was the best entrance I've ever seen. I literally got goosebumps and I wasn't even there. Yeah, that was amazing. If you haven't seen it, go look it up because it's so, so cool. Obviously, Taylor and Travis were spotted with Ice Spice. They were there supporting, who was it? Jack Antonoff? I don't really remember. But then they were also with Sabrina Carpenter and Barry all together. And then Gwen Stefani and Olivia Rodrigo were together for the No Doubt Roots. And then Billie Eilish also showed up to sing with Lana Del Rey. So there were a few big moments. And there's a lot of people who ask, like, how all these celebrities are just kind of in the crowds. Like, obviously, the videos of Taylor Swift and, like, Sabrina and even Alex Earl. It's like, how are they just out there in the crowd? There are kind of, like, different roped off sections. Obviously, when you see them entering whatever artists they're going to see, they have a whole entourage of security just kind of surrounding them. There's also VIP backstage places that they can kind of go off and escape to. So when they're not watching someone specifically, they're not just like roaming around the big field. And then obviously it's a big field. Most people aren't totally sober looking around to see what celebrities. They're probably in their own little world listening to their music. So I don't think it's that big a deal. And even when you watch videos, like, people are very respectful. They're just watching their own thing. And then the celebrities are just enjoying themselves and they have their whole security around them. But my thoughts on Coachella, because there's a lot that I feel like if you don't research or like watch stuff, you don't really know. Like, it can be hell on earth, but people still go. It's like, it's fun, but it's like, we hate going kind of thing. And I do, like, again, I feel like I'm a pro and I've never been, but I just have watched so much. And basically there's like two ways you approach Coachella. The first way is you have tons of money or you're a rich person. And the second is if you're just a commoner, I don't know, just like a normal person who is saving up to go to Coachella. So basically, the people who have a lot of money, all these influencers, they typically go with a brand and they have their own Airbnb or their own hotel that obviously they upcharge like hell because they know everyone's trying to book it for this weekend. And so they are staying at these houses and then they are then paying a ton of money to get a Uber or ride to the location, and then also getting back into the line. There are so many videos of influencers, like, the Uber lines are crazy because it's like 100,000 people trying to leave in an Uber, like all these people trying to leave. And I think it was a few years ago, you would get like a pin, and so the Uber car would have their pin on their car, and then you would have it on your phone, and you would have to like match up with your driver, and you could be sitting there for hours and hours and hours. So that's like, the upside is you get to, have your own house and like go when you want and shower, but it's also taking so much time to actually leave and like get there. And so then when you're not a rich celebrity influencer person with money who's not staying in a hotel, you camp. Basically you get a parking pass, you drive your car, you set up tents, you set up sleeping bags, and they do have like restrooms and showers, but it's all these people using these few restrooms and showers. So typically you're not showering or anything like that. And you basically are just camping that whole weekend. And then another big thing is, say you are getting dropped off, you are walking a lot. It's like this whole long pathway to get to the big field, and everyone says it's the worst. You can pay a ton of money to get on like those bike things, and that's why you'll see a lot of people wearing bandanas or masks, and that's literally because there's so much dust and dirt. And so another thing is, they're like, you're walking there, you're sweating your makeup off and you're like everything because it's so hot, and then when the sun goes down it's like freezing. So it's either you're carrying a big coat or you're just kind of suffering. So I don't know. It's like, I feel like it is very influencer heavy. It's a lot of people who can't afford the hotels and Airbnbs and are going there to get a picture and just for the status. But when you watch some of these vloggers who are being truthful, you'll kind of learn like you're not seeing everything, you know, how it really is. Like it's a lot of not fun stuff and it's definitely an experience. And again, like I love vicariously living through people who are at Coachella, but unless I had enough money to not have to camp out in my car, and also just the thought of waiting after a long day of just like partying at Coachella and then having to try and find an Uber or try and like go home, it just sounds awful. So it is a lot. Obviously people go every year, so it keeps them coming back. And again, I feel like the headliners years ago, it used to be really, really good. And now I'm like, there's only a few people I would even want to go see. So, and it's also like, it's across the freaking, you know, it's in LA and I'm in Florida. So not that I would ever go, but if I was really rich, maybe I would go for a weekend to experience it. But yeah, that's Coachella. I love seeing everyone's outfits. It's like my favorite thing. I don't know why, like I'm just obsessed with watching people's vlogs and like their experience, because you think it's like this picture perfect like festival and it's like, no, there's like a lot of work that goes into this. So anyway, I hope everyone just has a lot of fun at Coachella. And yeah, now we're going to get into our Literally What segment. Thank you to everyone who does write in. Again, I am running low, so please, please, please send in your really anything that you want to talk about if you need advice about anything. I'm hoping, I don't know when Dancing with the Stars is ever going to come back. I think it might be November, but I'm definitely going to be recapping that. I don't think they are doing Bachelor in Paradise now that I'm thinking about it. I think they're going to replace when they did Bachelor in Paradise with the Golden Bachelorette, which I honestly, if they do the Golden Bachelorette, I'm not going to recap it on here because I've lost all hope for Bachelor Nation at this point. And I just don't even want to deal with it. I am still watching Summer House. I am currently on season 7, so I'm almost caught up to them currently filming. And I'm really excited because there's a ton of stories on the Summer House cast that like I see on my feed, but I don't want to look because I'm not caught up and I'm like a season or 2 behind. But if you do watch Summer House, whenever I eventually catch up, I will be talking about my thoughts on certain things that have come out about the cast recently. But let's get into our stories. This first one, I thought it was so funny that they wrote in about this because it's about a festival and it's Coachella this weekend. It was just funny, but they said, a few years ago, my friends and I went to this festival. It was getting late at night. We were really feeling good and wanted to get some food. So we walked over to the food trucks and I realized my wallet was gone. That is like my worst nightmare, when like you think your wallet or phone is missing. I can't even imagine. I thought I just dropped it back where we were standing. So we walked back over there. Nothing. Eventually, I get a notice that someone has charged my card for $100 worth of sandwiches at one of the food trucks. I had to call my bank super drunk and try to get them to freeze my card. And now I make sure to keep my cards on the back of my phone case. I can't imagine being at a festival and like dealing with all of that. I get like really anxious in super big crowds that someone's going to take like my phone especially, or that I'm going to drop it somewhere. So that sounds awful. But now I know in the back of my head, if I ever do go to a big festival, get the like sticky thing on the back of the phone to put your card in. So does that mean they have your ID too? I just thought about that. That is awful if that happened. Oh my gosh. Well, hopefully it's all good now. And I can't imagine. All right, next. One of my good friends has a boat that they always take out during the summer. The first weekend of the summer, he always throws this huge boat party and sends out a big text to everyone about the day, time, etc., what to bring. A couple of my other friends who go every year with me got the text invite and I still haven't. Yikes. What do? I don't want to awkwardly ask him, but I've gone the past few years and it seems weird that I didn't get it. So there's a few factors that go into this. One, are you close enough where you could text him, or is this just kind of like a mutual friend that you just go to his party every single year? Two, are the friends that got text closer to him? 3, have you done something to upset him or someone in his circle? This is always awkward when you think you're getting invited somewhere and you're not. I feel like this happens not a lot to people, but when it does, it's like, how do you handle certain situations? I remember a few years back, I got invited to this girl's bridal shower and not her wedding. And in my head, I'm like, how do I even go about this? Because this just seems really weird. And I ended up not saying anything, but it's like, it really depends on how close you are to the person. And I don't know, like, do you talk to this person regularly, or have you like kind of stopped, but you still expected the invite because you're still friends with those other people who got invited? Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I'm also really awkward about certain situations. So to me, I'm always like, well, it depends on like XYZ, because it could go really either way. But hopefully you do get an invite to the boat. That would really suck. I feel like it's always like the best thing to have a friend with a boat to like go out on the lake. One of my hometown friends, they have a boat, and that was like some of the best memories are like having a boat. So one day I will have a big boat. One day I will have a pool. I will have a hot tub. It's like you think about all these things that you want, and yeah, I don't know, but definitely like follow up. Okay, if you're listening to this, please follow up with what happens, because it's only April. Well, I don't know if y'all are in college or high school. Like, when is summer for you guys? Because maybe he's like inviting certain people at first to see if they say yes, and then you're kind of like a B-list person. I don't know. That's very interesting. But definitely follow up. So that is all of the stories and write-ins from you guys. Again, please help me out. 5-star reviews on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Again, I do post on YouTube every single week, so you should definitely go subscribe. We are getting into the summer months. I'm really, really excited. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I want to talk to you guys about. I don't even know. Do you like my hat? I'm wearing a hat again. I'm trying. I just decluttered my whole entire closet. And my problem is all the clothes that I have, I want to like keep and hold on to, because it reminds me of like a certain time in my life, or like a certain event I went to, where I'm like, oh, if I end up going to like a random like neon party, I'll be able to wear this. And it's like, you're not getting invited to a neon party. Like, I'm sorry, you're just not. So I did that. And now that, I guess, is it spring right now or summer? But I will tell all of you, this is the time to start your spring cleaning, start your decluttering, especially to all of my people who are in college and are graduating. Like, all of my best friends are graduating college this year, and I'm like, I hate it because they're too old for that, or too young for that, I guess. But this is your sign. I'm giving you a sign right now that if you've been procrastinating cleaning and you need like a reason to declutter your house or your apartment or your whatever and go through things, it's spring/summertime. So this is the time to start spring cleaning. And for me, like, I have severe ADHD. Like, I can't focus on a task. But when it comes to decluttering, what you need to do is literally take your piece of clothing, look at it, and you have to make a split decision, like keep or throw away. And sometimes you have to make those hard decisions to just throw it away. And that's just the way it is, you know? That was a whole rampage tangent, but I feel like we forget about spring cleaning. I used to spring clean with my mom like every year, and I've been trying to do it now. It's kind of slowly but surely coming along, but I hope you guys have the best week ever. Come back next week for another episode where we will go over some hot gossip, hot takes, stories, and advice that will have you saying literally what? Bye, guys.